All right, shalom, 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 shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Racha Kodash. Double honors unto my elders and my apostles of great millstone, which are the men that rule well and taught us his truth. Peace, blessings, and salutations as always be to the elect. All right, in Lord's will, the title will be "Time was given to them to rule." All right, the inspiration of this lesson comes from most recent class we had here in the DC camp. All right, we went over Daniel's 7th chapter, and I'm gonna bring out some scriptures from Daniel's 7th chapter, like 2 precepts. Just because just doing my own little research, because it was my time to teach the class, and I was reading about the different empires, and I was just thinking about how time was given to these, and the scriptures say it. This ain't from my own mind. This is all of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. This is from the scriptures. The scriptures, talk about how, when you read the true narrative, when you understand the true narrative, and when you read the true narrative of the Holy Bible, you learn that, these nations were given a chance to rule. So for these Israelite camps to be preaching salvation for everybody and, things like that is a very foolish thing. All right. Considering the fact that, these nations were given the opportunity to rule. They were given the opportunity to put us in subjection. They were given all these different things. And, for these Israelites to teach joint rulership with the heathen, it's very un-Israelite. It's a very uneducated thing to say, considering how much is written in the scriptures about us going through what we went through for what in the end to be on top, and nobody else rules with us. And when I say us, I'm talking about no one else rules with Yahweh Shai and the disciple and the 12, right? No one else is going to rule with the men of the Lord, all right, with the elect, the 144,000, all right? That just does not make sense, all right? So, for them to come out with these doctrines is pretty ridiculous, but at the same time, we know what it is, man. We know the type of timing that they're on, and it's cool. We're going to combat it with the scriptures. We're going to keep it spiritual and be classy about it, okay? So this is the book of 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter. Salakia, 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter, and the 9th verse. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Now, the reason I'm bringing this out is because it just goes to show that Esau is the end of an age. Now, what age is he the end of? He's the end of what it says here in Luke, the 21st chapter, the 24th verse. He is the end of, the time of the Gentiles, the time of the heathen. Because what every other nation on earth, right, had us in subjection. These other nations had their time to have the most prosperous kingdom, and the time of the Gentiles ends with Esau Edom, where he had control over the whole earth. All right, as it was prophesied for it to happen in the book of Genesis. Okay, Job spoke about it, right? So they're the end of the age of the Gentiles. They're the end of the heathen ruling. There is no joint rulership. That's not in the scriptures. All right, and I'm going to get it in the book of Daniel. But I'm going to read this again. 2nd Ezra 6 and 9. For Esau is the end of the world, a.k.a. the end of an age, because the scriptures say that the earth abideth forever. The earth is not going to be destroyed. This kingdom will be. The kingdom, this nation that's ruling right now, will be downtrodden of the Israelites very soon. Because it says what? And Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. All right? So Jacob is the beginning of what? That kingdom. The beginning of a rulership that does not end. Okay? Luke 21 and 24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem, that happened to us, right? And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, which that happened to us as well. Here's the point. Until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So until the time of what? The heathen, specifically Esau. Because he's the end of the rulership of the heathen. He marks the end of this age of being in subjection to these bodies and being in subjection to him, right? He was a sign all right, of his own demise. All right, that's what we read in 2 Ezra 6 and 9, right? So it says, until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Yeah, until the time that they're done ruling, right? So, and there shall be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars and upon the earth, distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. Men's heart. Now this is, end time going into the second coming of our Lord Hamashiach Yahushai, right? Beautiful thing, because what? That's also a sign of Esau's fault. That's when Esau is the tables are completely turning and Esau becomes the one in the chains, right? It says, verse 26, men's heart failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken, right? The powers of heaven shall be shaken. These different people in rulership are going to fall, okay? And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh, which is beautiful because, yeah, once we see all these different signs, all right, the uproars of the people, because this is the same thing that's basically said in Matthew's the 24th chapter, Mark the 3rd chapter, right? Once these things begin to pass, look up, because soon our redemption, our Redeemer is going to come pick us up, our Lord Hamashiach Yahushai. Okay? So, that's a beautiful thing. That's the time frame that we're in right now. We're in the time frame of the end of their time to rule. The time of the Gentiles is fulfilled, man. It already happened. All right? They fulfilled it. Esau fulfilled it. He fulfilled the time of the heathen to rule. Now it's time for that to end. All right? We're at we're very close. Because he's going to try to accomplish his enterprise, and it's just not going to happen. Because that's according to prophecy. All right? Daniel 7 and 13. Dang, you can't even escape the sirens at work, man. For bros that don't know what I'm talking about, sirens be at the camp 24/7. Man. Daniel 7 and 13. I saw in the night visions, and I saw, Salakia, I was reading ahead a little bit. Okay, yeah. Daniel 7 and 13, and it says, I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom. So what's being said here, when you go and read the whole thing, right? It speaks about the Ancient of Days, which is the Most High, Yahweh, and his son Yahushai, and how he was brought forth and given a kingdom, right? He was given that dominion, he was given that rulership, and that was prophesied since way back, man. Go read Ace. It was told to David that his son would rule forever. All right, and that wasn't fulfilled with King Solomon, but it's going to be fulfilled with Yahushai. That's why he's the root and the offspring of David. Okay, so it says, and there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, right? So the everlasting kingdom, all right, is given to who? Yahushai. And what are we? Heirs, joint heirs with Yahushai. Okay? It says that that all people, nations, and languages should serve him, meaning that these other nations are going to serve the Israelites, beginning with Yahushai. And that's these other nations have no part in that, because why would there be a pick of the litter? They're going to rule with us? No. There'll be a pick of the litter in the sense that they'll be nearer to us and be our servants and things like that, but never near us and then rule, within our sovereignty. Hell no, that's not scriptural. There's no precept you can find on that. It says, his dominion is an everlasting dominion, meaning it's going to last forever, which shall not pass away. See, it says it right here. And his kingdom, that which shall not be destroyed. So the kingdom of Yahushua will never end. That's Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Okay? So, that's the time frame that we're heading into, man. We're heading into the time frame of the time of the Gentiles coming to a complete end, a complete close. Read that in Luke. Alright? And in 2nd Esdras. And we're coming into the time of the dominion of Yahushai and the Israelites. And we're going to rule on this earth. It says that in the book of Revelation, the 5th chapter. Alright? we shall rule on the earth. Okay, but hey, the time was given to them to rule, man. Time was given to these people, to these heathen. All right, now it's our time is coming. Okay, so that's all I wanted to bring out real quick, man. I didn't want to make it too long of a lesson, and just a few precepts that was that I had, you know, put together just to come up with this quick lesson, man. I really wanted to you know, speak on this. I meant to really do it earlier, but you know, now, you know, I'm coming to the time of you know, I had the time to go ahead and touch on it real quick. So nonetheless, man, that's it. That's all I wanted to bring out, man, through the spirit real quick. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Hashem, Hakadash, double honors unto my elders and apostles, a great millstone, which are the men that rule well and taught us this truth. Peace, blessings, and salutations as always be to the elect. Shalom.